Hello, my name is Austin Habish, the founder of Think Catholic, and you're listening to the Summa Theologica podcast, where we study St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologiae in a way simple and insightful for anyone to understand. The Summa Theologica podcast is brought to you by Think Catholic. Taking two questions of the Summa a day, we'll seek to summarize St. Thomas's responses, discovering the brilliance of Aquinas and his Catholic faith. This is day 298, so let's get started. We're covering today questions 81 and 82 of the supplement to the Summa. That is, of the quality of those who rise again, and of the impassibility of the bodies of the blessed after their resurrection. The translation that I always use in these podcasts is the one generously provided to me by Ave Maria Press, the 5-volume set translated by the Fathers of the English Dominican province, which you can now get at a discounted price from Ave Maria Press's site by typing in the code SUMMA10. And so here we go. Article 1, whether all will rise again of the same age. Since all will rise again with the natural perfection of the body in the resurrection, although the saints will have a supernatural perfection added unto that, because extreme youth and old age are both clearly imperfect stages of a person's physical nature, then all will rise again at the age of human perfection, and this is around 30 years of age, witnessed by the age of Christ, who began his ministry at the perfect time, and as Scripture teaches, Ephesians 4, until we all attain to mature manhood, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. Article 2, whether all will rise again of the same stature. A good question following the verse we just quoted in the last article. In the resurrection, will we all be the same height and breadth? And this need not be the case, because there is no definitive perfect height of man. And a diversity in this manner will actually be conducive to a greater beauty for the whole of mankind by giving this diversity, through this diversity having a higher level harmony, like the keys on the piano generating a chord. St. Thomas teaches here, therefore all will not rise again of the same quantity, but each one will rise again of that quantity which would have been his at the end of his growth if nature had not erred or failed, and the divine power will subtract or supply what was excessive or lacking in man. Article 3, whether all will rise again of the male sex. In a word from our article, wherefore just as men will rise again of various stature, so they will rise again of different sex. And though there be difference of sex, there will be no shame in seeing one another, since there will be no lust to invite them to shameful deeds, which are the cause of shame. Article 4, whether all will rise again to animal life so as to exercise the functions of nutrition and generation. Will man eat and drink and procreate in the resurrected state? This is not the case, which we've covered in previous episodes, but in a word here, generation is directed to supply the defect resulting from death and to the multiplication of the human race, and eating is directed to make up for waste and to increase quantity. But in the state of the resurrection, the human race will already have the number of individuals preordained by God, since generation will continue up to that point, and like manner each man will rise again in due quantity. Neither will death be any more, nor any waste affect the parts of man. Therefore the acts of generative and nutritive powers would be void of purpose. We turn then to question 82 of the impassibility of the bodies of the blessed after their resurrection. Article 1, whether the bodies of the saints will be impassible after the resurrection. The short answer is yes, which is to say that the body of the blessed will not be susceptible to change which is injurious to it, detrimental or diminishing its perfection. Consider things like tack piercing the skin, and one bleeding, or one being overcome by an emotion which obscures their use of reason. The body will not be passible or changeable in these manners. And this is because since the soul will be perfectly subordinated to God in the blessed, so too the body will be perfectly subjected to the soul. And as such, the perfections flowing down from the soul to the body will not be able to be thwarted by any external object. This is what we mean here by impassibility in the man after resurrection. For the blessed, to quote St. Thomas, he writes, it will be impossible for the glorified body to be subject to any change contrary to the disposition whereby it is perfected by the soul, and consequently those bodies will be impassible. Article 2, whether all will be equally impassible. Since the cause of impassibility is the supernatural union with God, the vision of God, which does differ from one to the other saint, according to the light of glory given to each, which is according to their charity and merit, then in its cause, the vision of God, the degree of impassibility can increase or decrease. Yet in the effect of being impassible to that which is contrary to a man's perfection, the effect will be the same in all. And our author's words here, if it be considered in itself, since it denotes a mere negation or privation, it is not subject to be more or less, but will be equal in all the blessed. On the other hand, if we consider it in relation to its cause, thus it will be greater in one person than in another. Article 3, whether impassibility excludes actual sensation from glorified bodies. Sensation is a kind of passion in the sense that our senses are passive to the reception from the outside of sight, sound, and taste. The external objects of the senses affect the senses in such a way that they do undergo a change, which we could call in the broadest sense a passion. Our question in this article is if this passibility remains in the resurrected body, and it must for the perfection of man who receives knowledge through the senses, and has senses, and not to no purpose. Aquinas teaches that the senses will receive their proper object in heaven. For example, giving an example from this life, like the color of the brown tree is received into the eye, it is the form which is received without receiving the material of the tree when I'm seeing this color. This will occur in heaven, but not the material changes related to the senses like the material change that occurs in my hand when I touch a hot stove. So again, receiving the formal object of the sense, the color, sight, sound, taste, without any material residue or accompaniment is what St. Thomas says we should expect in the resurrection with the glorified body. Article 4, our last article, whether in the blessed after the resurrection, all the senses will be in act. Will every external and internal sense you have, not just sight, sound, touch, but imagination and memory, be acting, be in act for the blessed in heaven? Aquinas teaches yes. And the following sentence, a power conjoined to its act is more perfect than one not so conjoined. Now human nature in the blessed will be in its greatest perfection. Therefore all the senses will be actual there. So as an example from the external senses, that means we will receive in heaven pleasant sights, sounds, feeling of touch, smells, and even taste. Not in the sense of eating, but perhaps still in some way in regard to flavor. And with that, we close another episode. We have just finished covering questions 81 and 82 of the supplement to the Summa, that is, of the quality of those who rise again and of the impassibility of the bodies of the blessed after their resurrection. My name is Austin Habish with Think Catholic, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.